Hi, so welcome to this video where I remake a bunch of levels from classic Sonic games that I played in my childhood, but in 3D. You may not even know some of these, which count them as classic, but they are classic to me, so I don't really care. Anyway, let's just begin straight away. Firstly, I began creating the Green Hill Zone Act 1 from the original Sonic game. There were a few things I had to look out for on this level, as they could be reused in some other levels, so I was better off prioritizing these and make sure that they work. Anyways, first I began on creating the main character, which was Sonic himself. I went on Blender and got a few templates to use, and after a few hours I got this model and had sorted him out with some animations. What? Sonic's whole deal is that he's fast. So with some animations like this jumping one, I needed to create this rapid feel to it. I feel I did alright. I then created a new Unity project and planted him inside of it. Hooked him up with a movement script, and now we've got him running about. I made this movement script in sort of a dynamic way, so whenever he reaches his initial max speed, the max speed then increases even more. And he keeps on doing this a few more times until it reaches a high enough speed. So he reaches a fast base speed quite quick, but to get to his max potential, you need to give him a bit of land to run up on. His run animation is also sped up the faster your velocity is. With him done, I began creating the level. To do this, I saved a picture of the whole level and then started tracing cubes over it to get to a decent start. I created these two textures and tried adding them to the world, lining up all the UVs and everything, but it started glitching out when I looked at them in game, so I stuck with these plain colours instead, but it ain't bad anyway, so let's just run it. And see what I did there? Run it. No, never mind. Next I created all these props for the maps, including trees, bushes, totems, flowers and other stuff, and placed them all around the map. And now we've got something that's quite similar to the actual game. Also this cartoony looking water shader that I made in a previous game, which worked well with this. The level weren't far off from being done now, to be honest. We just had the enemies, which are the mortar bug, crab meat, buzz bomber, fishes, and also we needed rings in the game, because what's a Sonic game without rings? We need a UI to show these rings, checkpoints in case you fall in the water and die, even though I've disabled that in this because I'm shit and I keep dying. And also the final flag for you to reach to finish off the level. We had a way to go, and so I got to work. I spent a few more hours bending curves in Blender and ended up with these beautiful creatures. I missed out on the 5th mob because I kind of forgot about him. But we don't need him anyway, so we move. I copied the UI from the original game as close as I could, and also designed and coded the checkpoints in, and even given the animation seen in game. The final main thing was the flag at the end. You can now finish the act by reaching this flag and running through it, which gives you extra score depending on how quick you completed this level. There are a few extra things to show, such as when you take damage, you get this hurt animation, and you lose all your rings which come out of your body and scatter randomly around you, despawning in around 5 seconds or so. I didn't know how to do this tunnel thing that Sega does, so unfortunately I ended up caving and just made it a simple teleport. And with that, the first level was complete and we can move on.
Now before we move on, we have a sponsor? Just joking, I wish I had a sponsor. I ain't made like that. Not yet, maybe. Maybe soon, I don't know. But just a quick thing from me. I'm making a multiplayer zombies game for Steam, so check it out, and also join the Discord I made because it's hard to make a multiplayer game when you have no friends. Anyway, let's continue. Actually, wait. If you like the video so far, then like and subscribe as it helps me.
Now the next game I'm remaking, well, it's not a main level. It's the Chow Garden from the game Sonic Adventure to Battle. However, I must confess, I didn't really play this game. Like, I played here and there, but it was my cousin who owned the game, and well, it'll be easier to just show you what I mean. Imagine this is my cousin's room. Here's his TV and GameCube, and here's him playing the game. Now if you look carefully, you'll see me down here. I didn't even have a great angle on the screen, but I was hella grateful to just be there. It was my version of YouTube before I even had access to YouTube. I'm 22 by the way, so this was back in the olden days. Remember how I just mentioned the GameCube? I bet some of you don't even know what that is. But anyway, let's get back to the video. The Chow Garden is a place where you'd go in between levels with what is essentially loot found in missions. You go here and raise chows. Chow? KO? My cousin said chow, but my brother said KO. But I'm gonna say Chow because that sounds right. It's a nice place thriving with nature where you raise and play with these chows, and that's pretty much it. But nevertheless, it was memorable. So to begin with, I modeled a chow in Blender, tried my best and got this. I gave it animations too. I then began by making the garden. It was simple to be honest, but the only thing that was a little bit more complex to me was the waterfall, as I hadn't done it before. But after watching this tutorial on YouTube by Big Gabriel, I eventually got this. And after placing a few props around the map, it now looked complete. Now in the game, you feed the child stuff like fruit and these tubes and level them up. But to do this, we needed a UI to show the progression visually, to indicate to the player that something is happening. I threw this picture up in Blender and added it to the game, and wrote some code to test out if it works. It does. I made some of those tube things and added them to the game, and made it possible to feed the chows now. With each colour matching up to specific stats, you collect them from this machine by pressing E. There are also mangoes that spawn randomly across the garden too. To finish off, I spawned a few variations of the chow so that it doesn't get lonely up here, and we're done. Okay, slight fix. We can't have the chows dying now, can we? So if you or any of them fall, you spawn back at a random spot in the garden. And now we're done.
Now the next game I'm making, it's not your normal Sonic game. Heck, it's not even about him. It's Shadow the Hedgehog. Unlike any of the previous games, the map on this one was quite big, and there weren't even any references available online, except for this video. Anyway, let's do this. I really can't be asked to continue with the way I was doing it, so this is what we're doing now. So it curves back inwards a little bit. Let's get that. And then another long path. Yeah, close enough. You know, this is long. I'll show you what it looks like in the end. And yeah, this is how I'm gonna do it. Because the other way was just long, just flicking back and forth from Blender to the video. It's done. Finally. I've done it. We got a base to work with now, which means I can move on. Now I had to make a model for Shadow, from one hefty task to another one already. Let's go. Okay, they won't notice this, but if I just go to the Sonic model I made before, and do some move around here and a rotation here, and I just change the material from blue to black, then we've basically got Shadow now. Boom! After some grueling hours of work, I managed to build the Shadow model with his own run animation, and you can now use him in game. The game revolves on the decisions you make with Shadow, where you can take a good route or a not so good route. It's up to you whether you want to beat up the police or not alongside the evil aliens, but I don't believe in hurting the innocents, so in my version you only have the aliens to go up against. In the level that I'm making, they are the Black Oaks and Black Wings, so let's make them. Okay, first one's done. Damn. Second one should be a lot easier. I also populated the map out with some bills. I placed the aliens in the map and then got them moving. Your objectives are to collect some emeralds, and there are 2 of them on this map, so you have to just retrieve them. I made them and placed them in the corresponding places from where you'd see them in the actual game, which now allows you to complete the game. And after placing things around the map, like bouncy stuff and boost pads, the map is now complete and ready to play. I'm making 2 more games now. The first of the 2 is Sonic Chronicles, a turn-based game where you beat up more aliens, collect rings, and more Sonic stuff. It requires 4 characters for the best gaming experience, and so I began making 2 more characters. There were the characters Knuckles and Shade. And did you know that Shade was a female? I didn't. You know, so I knew every day. I probably would have found out if I actually read the dialogue in game. But back then I didn't care, to be honest. I just wanted to play the actual game. With the characters done, I was ready to continue, but this looked kinda dry. And this isn't no professional Sonic game now, is it? Oh. This will do. Now that I've assembled the Avengers of the Sega universe, the playable characters were now done. Now the actual game had a distinct way of fighting enemies, where you pick moves from this UI and then perform some actions with the DS pen. Oh yeah, did I mention this game is made for Nintendo DS? So once I made this in Photoshop, I added it to Unity and I made a whole canvas and UI with buttons and text and more buttons. And then got to this. I made only one special move for each character because who's got the time for that? So the different UI mechanics I made are the buttons that shrink, and the quicker you press them, the more damage you do. Also the sliding button, but the longer you hold it, the better. And finally the button that you have to tap in quick succession and surround completely with circles for max damage. All the mechanics are done, and now all that's left is the enemy, who is X. Big Emperor X. I made a model for him, and he does a simple attack which randomly does damage between 30 and 40, so you die in about 3 rounds. But if you can't beat him by then I don't know, to be honest. You're probably one of those people in Call of Duty that can't move around whilst aiming at the same time. You know, like those bots that can't process touching 2 sticks at once. The final game is Sonic Advance 2, where you play Super Sonic at the end after collecting all of the emeralds, and you fight Eggman. This one was relatively simple compared to the rest and didn't take as long. Anyway, let me show you what I did. First I turned Sonic gold and gave him Super Saiyan hair, made his movement look like he's flying rather than looking stationary, and gave him a dash attack which launches him forward a bit when you press space. Secondly, I set up the scene as a 2D scenario and created the enemy to fight. You're in space in the actual game with stars and rings flying past you. And let me let you in on a little secret. You're not actually flying forward. You're stationary whilst everything else is moving past you. Can you believe that? You can see what I mean more from this angle. Oh yeah, I made a ring spawner and a particle system that imitates stars. Now that the scene is set, the only thing left is Eggman's attacks. He has an array of moves he uses, which includes a laser beam, these things that come at you, rockets targeting you, and other things. The main one of these are the rockets. The way you beat Eggman is by sending his rockets back to him by performing the dash attack on them. With what I think is a good replication of that mechanic, you're not able to beat the level. His attacks come at you periodically at random, and you have to try your best to avoid and utilize them. The quicker you beat him, the higher you score. So this game is actually just based off RNG, to be honest. But I didn't design it, so oh well. And with that, we're done. The game is available on itch.io if you want to check it out, but warning, it's not that great and it's probably riddled with the bugs. If I spent more time on it, then it probably would have been decent, but I can't be asked, to be honest. I'm busy. Also, check out my Steam game and the other links in the description. Like and subscribe if you like the video, and see ya.
I don't really want to use barbecue because it's kind of dead. So, I mean, I prefer like tomato ketchup, but you know, I can't really throw this at my full screen. And also, yeah, I do have a bottle of ketchup on hand at all times. Don't judge.